Welcome back, drawing buddies. This week we're going to draw Leonardo from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, from pencils to inks to colors. So if that sounds like a good way to spend a half hour or so, then let's draw. This is what the picture is going to look like on the corner here with all four turtles. I finally finished it. And I am going to print posters of it and have them at Terrificon this year. If any of you are going, stop by my table, which number I don't know yet, and say hi. And if you want to pick up a Turtles print, if not a big deal. Just say hi. It's all good. Not everything has to cost monies. I remember when I used to go to conventions when I first started going in the early 90s. Yeah, it would be 93 and 94 were the first time I went to New York Comic Con. I was just a junior and senior in high school those years. But signatures didn't cost anything. You just went up, talked to an artist, and they signed what you put in front of them. I mean, there's always people who took advantage of that, and they put like a box full of books in front of these poor people. But for the most part, you just walked up, said, "Hey, Mr. Sam Keith, for example. Nice to meet you. Love your work. You'll be missed, by the way." And, if you had something, they'd sign it. If you didn't, they'd sign a little piece of paper if you gave it to them. They didn't care. Some of them would even just do a sketch. I remember I went to, I think it's when they first started New York Comic Con again, so 2010-ish maybe? Maybe 2008, I don't remember. But when you went in, there was a little hallway. I forgot where the hallway was. I think it's the one that led into the main hall. And they had tables full of artists on both sides. And the first guy there was Walt Portacio. And I love Walt Portacio's work. Wetworks, his X-Men stuff. I haven't really read anything after that. You know, his Iron Man, when they did the Heroes Reborn thing, was awesome. Probably the best of all those books as far as art goes. And that's including Jim Lee's Fantastic Four. But I was just talking to him. I showed him my portfolio, which was terrible back then. And he gave me some tips and hints, and we chatted for a while about, X-Men and things. And then he said to me, he's like, "Hey, do you want a sketch?" I said, "Really? How much are those?" He's like, "Oh, they're free. That's what we're here for." I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "Who do you want?" I said, "Well, since you're telling me I don't have to pay for it, you pick." And Walt Portacio said, "Oh, I'm going to draw something I never get to draw." And he drew me a headshot of the Incredible Hulk. And I kept that for a long time. And then a friend of mine wasn't doing so hot. He wasn't feeling so good about life. And he loves the Incredible Hulk. It's his guy. So I gave him the sketch, and it's still hanging on his wall, and he loves it. So it brought joy to two people. So thank you very much for that sketch, Walt Portacio. But I should probably talk about Turtles. So Leonardo, his first appearance is in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1. I'm pretty sure that was 1984, 85. I should look it up, but I'm not going to. I've only had third printings of the book. There were three major printings of the book when it first came out. There was the first print. There's like 3,000, 3,500 of them. I don't know how many survived because they were literally selling them out of the trunk of their car and at conventions, and they would stop by some local comic shops and put them on the shelf. They didn't really distribute them through Diamond or whatever. But they all sold out. And then they went to a second print, and I think that was 6,500 copies. If you watch the Raphael or the I think it's the Raphael video where I definitely get those numbers right. But, so there's only 6,500 of those. I would love to have a second print since I know I'm never going to have a first print. And then they made like 30,000 copies or 60,000 copies of the third print. So that's the easiest one to find. Obviously, it's also the least valuable, although now it's actually worth a crap ton of money compared to what it used to be. I had a 9.6 of it that I got last year or the year before. I ended up selling it when I found out how much it was worth. I think on 9.6 I got like, I don't remember, but it was a lot more than I was expecting. There was a time when they were cheap and you get them for like $50. And I remember buying like 3 or 4 of them at a local convention for like $50. In fact, the first time I went to the local convention by me up, which they have on the last Sunday of every month, well, the last Sunday of almost every month, unless something else is going on, the first thing I bought was from a dealer who I buy a lot of stuff from now. He's a great guy. And he had a set of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1 through 4. Number 1 was a third print, and 2, 3, and 4 were first prints. And I think he had them marked at $50 or $100 each. And he ended up selling me the whole set for just over $100. So I got a good deal there. And that was the first time I bought a Mutant Turtles number 1. I was excited. And I remember a local comic shop, they bought out a collection years ago, and they put it in their storage, and they pretty much forgot about it. And then a friend of mine started working with them. And like, well, we should go through the storage and see what you got that's worth selling, Bob, because, you know, you're moving storage, you need money. And they found a stack of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1 third prints. I mean, a stack. There must have been 50, 60, maybe 75 of them, maybe more, I don't know. I remember him sending me a picture. I'm like, oh, I hate you right now. But at the time, like I said, it was like a $50, $60 book. So it wasn't like, oh my God, we struck gold. I think now one of those is a couple hundred, few hundred, maybe more, maybe less. I'd have to look it up. And I don't feel like doing that right now because it's not really important to this video. Just the important part is that they had a crap ton of them. And it was like, damn. And I think I bought a few off of him too, but not a lot. What I should have done was bought a pile of them off him. Had them all clean, pressed, and graded, and then just sat on them because the price of them spiked during the pandemic big time. That 9.6 that I was just talking about that I had, if I had that, you know, during pandemic times, I probably would have got 3 times as much for it as I did when I sold it last year or the year before. But I ain't mad, and I'll get another one of these days. I need to get, for my personal collection, I need the Mutant Turtles 1 through 4. I don't care what print the number 1 is, as long as it's a 1 through 3rd print. And the other ones I would like to have as first prints, because those are a lot easier to get. I did have a chance to buy a first print once, but it was way out of my price range at the time. I was at another con. They have one up further up the state where they don't have the one that's monthly. They cancel that for a month, and they have one up towards Massachusetts up there and in Enfield. And there's a dealer there who shall remain unnamed because I don't want to dox too many people because I do it all the time. And he had a first print. I'm like, oh, dude, how much is that? And he wanted $3,000 for it. And that was very, very reasonable at the time. I wouldn't say it was a deal of the century, but it was very reasonable. And if I had $3,000 spent on a comic book, it would have been smart to buy it and sit on it and just forget it existed for years. But, you know, you can't buy things when you can't afford them. And I definitely could not afford that. But the guy did own a store at one time, and he had a storage unit full of tens of thousands of comics. And I bought a couple Amazing Spider-Man 700 off him, the first prints. And he's like, if you want more of those, I think at the time it was like a $20 book. I'll sell you a box of them, an unopened box of them for, what was it, $5 each, and it was 90 copies, I think. So I actually did that, and I slowly started selling all of these Amazing Spider-Man 700s. And he also sold me some of the variant covers for the same price. So I had the Quesada variant. I had every one except for the Romita one that everybody wants, because it was a cover for, I think, Amazing Fantasy that never got printed, and they used it as a variant cover for Amazing Spider-Man 700. That one I didn't get. But I did get a bunch of the ones with the cityscape on the side with all the creators' names in it, and Spider-Man swinging. But I never took it to get all the autographs and everything. I probably still have one or two of them somewhere in a box. Those are cool books. So yeah, so I had a whole crap load of Spidey 700s at one point. Now I have a whole crap load of Spawn books, because hopefully we get a McFarlane sketch. If we don't, I'm going to be sad as heck, because the distributor said you would get a McFarlane sketch. There's no other artist involved. And then it turns out there's like 3 or 4 other artists involved. So we rolled the dice on that one. Leonardo, he is the leader of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He's the most level-headed, the most, we'll say, normal of the Turtles. Well, actually, here we go again. I'm showing the finished drawing because the pencils are done. And I'm going to show that at the end of each section. But now it's time to ink Leonardo of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah, I'm proud of this one. A friend of mine called it my Mona Lisa. I wouldn't go that far. I'm definitely no Leonardo da Vinci. Well, actually, no pun intended, because he is named after the old master who did the Mona Lisa, the Sistine Chapels and all that stuff. But yeah, it's definitely the most complicated drawing I've probably done in a decade, maybe even two, because I'm that old. But I drew the Donatello, and it was originally just supposed to be Donatello. And then I was eventually just going to draw other turtles as standalone drawings. Simple, right? Then I was looking at the Donatello, and I'm like, oh, if I extend these buildings, I could, make a giant perspective grid for them, and I could put the turtles in all 4 quadrants, and then I'll have this giant picture of the turtles that interconnects. That would be cool. And then I'm like, that will be difficult, because the perspective grid that I made for Donatello was just for that one 9 by 12 inch image. It wasn't for the full 18 by 24 inch drawing that all the turtles would be in. So the first thing I had to do, which took probably 4 or 5 hours to get right, because I wanted it spot on, is I had to take the perspective grids I made, I had to make them a lot bigger so that they would fit on an 18 by 24. And then I had to adjust them so that they fit with the Donatello grid, which thankfully I didn't throw away and was still in the files for the drawing. And they had to match perfectly. And they also couldn't be missing sections on the page, because then it would look weird, because the perspective would be off in like corners and everything. And I did not want that to happen. So once I figured out the grids, which like I said was excruciating, but that was actually the hardest part, because then after that I made the canvas was 18 by 24, and you had Donatello all finished up in the corner. So then I just kind of put grid lines, so it's 4 different things, and I did a super quick sketch of Raphael, Michelangelo, and Leonardo in their quadrants. And they all pretty much went to plan. Raphael, I think, is the most complicated drawing and the most visually because, he's hanging off that sign and you got full buildings behind him and everything. And then Michelangelo, their poses for Michelangelo and Leonardo are super cool, and they're just as good, but their backgrounds aren't as complicated because they're just the bottoms of Donatello and Raphael's buildings. So they actually took a lot less time to draw because of that, because I didn't have to draw a bunch of tiny buildings and a bunch of tiny windows. I just had to draw a bunch of tiny bricks. And that doesn't take nearly as long as figuring out 3 or 4 or 5 different buildings. But for some reason, Leonardo, he fought me, man. He's not the most complicated turtle. It's the shortest video. But it took me the longest to get done, if that makes sense. Because I would sit down, I'd work on them, I'd get the pencils done in the pose. I'm like, all right, now I gotta finish the pencils. But man, it just took me a day or 2 to get back to the pencils. Like, all right, I gotta ink them. And then it took me 3 days to ink them. And then it took me another, the colors went fast. That I banged out in a night. But just something about Leonardo kept me from working on him, and I don't know what it was, but he's done. He's just as cool as all the other ones. And I am glad I got this finished, because now I look at it like, damn, that's cool. The only thing that I wish I did slightly different was that I separated the ledges that Michelangelo and Donatello are standing on, so that I could bring Michelangelo and Leonardo are on the same ledge. So what I wish I did was I separated that ledge and had Michelangelo's more in the foreground, and then I could bring Donatello's. I'm getting all these turtles' names wrong. I could bring Leonardo's down and put it in front of Michelangelo's, and I would have made Leonardo same pose, same background, same everything, but I would have made him maybe a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch bigger, and I think that would have worked better overall for the drawing. But the way he is now, I think he came out great. Plus, I didn't want him to have the same forward pose, because Raphael, Michelangelo are coming right at you. Donatello's hanging off a ledge Spider-Man style. So I wanted Leonardo to look different. So the way I made Leonardo different was I made him more of a relaxed side shot, which is what he would be doing anyway, because he's the cool, calm, collected leader, making the plan to go kick the crap out of the Foot Clan that's on the street below him. So it all worked out, and if you want, I will have posters of these at Terrificon. I think I mentioned that earlier. They'll be 18 by 24 inches. And I also will have prints of each turtle individually, if you just want Mikey or you just want Donnie or Ralph. And I might actually do some in pairs, where like Donatello and Raphael together, and Michelangelo and Leonardo together, and then Donatello and Michelangelo are together, and then Raphael and Leonardo are together. But I don't know, that might get confusing, because I'm going to have 3 different size prints, which is a new thing. I usually just have 9 by 12s. But now I'm going to have 9 by 12s, or I might have some 8.5 by 11 full bleeds. I might switch to that because it's cooler and a lot less time consuming for me to make. Then I'm going to have 11 by 17 / 12 by 18s. And that will be like the doubles of Leonardo and Raphael together, let's say. But I also have bigger prints of the other things, like the Superman, the Supergirl, and Lobo, and older drawings like the All Mights and stuff like that. So there's a lot of cool stuff that I'm going to have at Terrificon. So if you're a fan of all these videos and all the stuff I'm drawing here, stop by, say hello. I'll just chat with you. If you don't want to buy anything, I don't care. Things don't always have to cost money. I completely understand that. But I do have to save my pennies, because Art Adams is going to be there again this year. And it used to be his, I think his drawings, like his nice, really nice sketches, were like $400 or $300. Then they went for $400, then they went for $500. Then they got expensive. They got like way out of my price range. But I guess now he has different things that he does for different price ranges. So I'm going to try to save some pennies and get the most affordable but coolest drawing I could get from Arthur Adams. That's something I've wanted all my life. Even local comic shop, Richie's, R.I.P., pouring out for Richie. It burnt down this year because the restaurant next to it lit up and it took Richie's with it. Sad freaking day, man. But Richie's okay, and he's still awesome, and him and Eric are doing okay, so you can't be mad. But he had a head sketch, a Captain America from Art Adams, which Art Adams just did for him, quick on a thing, didn't charge him anything. And I would bust Richie's balls for that all the time. Hey, Richie, when you give me the Art Adams sketch? And he'd someday you'll get that, someday. But, of course, it got destroyed in the fire, so that someday never came. So, that's a darn shame, because that would have filled the hole in my life that not having an Art Adams sketch is leaving in it. And I don't even know who to have Art Adams draw, because for a while I was having everybody draw me the Rocketeer, and that was cool, and I love the Rocketeer. But if I'm going to have Art Adams draw something, I kind of don't want him to just draw the Rocketeer's helmet. I want like a face. But then I'm like, should I have him draw a dude, or should I have him draw a woman? And I'm leaning towards woman, because he's more famous for drawing women. Then I'm like, who? So I don't know. I'm leaning towards Batgirl. Or Elektra. So leave in the comments who you think I should have Art Adams draw for me. Should I have him draw Elektra? Should I have him draw Batgirl? Or should I have him draw Daredevil or Batman? Or Death's Head? Death's Head's a good call too. Death's Head's my obscure character from Marvel UK that I absolutely love. And the first thing I ever had signed by Art Adams, he was at New York Comic Con. And I went to talk to him, because I like to just talk to people and shake their hands and thank them for, bringing joy to my life and my childhood and stuff like that. And when I was done talking to him, he was like, you got anything you want me to sign? And the only thing I brought with me was a 1992 Marvel Universe Death's Head card, because he drew that card. He drew a lot of cards in that set. He's like, this is it? I said, yeah, that's it. And he signed it, and that was cool. Then after that, I started to have him draw me stick figures, like actual stick figures. And he's really cool about it. And like, he drew me a Daredevil stick figure, a Thing stick figure, a Hulk stick figure, a random stick figure trying to get out of a box, and then another stick figure running. That's all I got so far. He did do me another one at the last Terrificon. I just don't remember what it is. I'll have to pull it out. It's in the sketchbook I bought off of him. Yeah, I get that every year. I see him, which isn't every year anymore. It used to be every year because I used to go to New York Comic Con every year. But the year before the world ended in 2019, sorry, not 19, 2019, I was getting ready to go. I had my tickets. I was all dressed. I was about to leave the house to get on the train. The first day I was going to go by myself, and I think the other 2 days I had people to come with me. And I was just standing there, and I'm like, why am I going? I said, there's no panels I want to see. There's no comics I want to buy or exclusives. It's like I was just going to go, and I just wasn't feeling it. And so I said, I'm just going to go to bed. Because it was early. Because, I got on the train at like 7, 8 in the morning to get there. So I get in when the doors opened, and I was just like, and I get in a little early because I had creator badges. And I'm like, no, just not doing it. And I haven't been back to New York Comic Con since. Maybe I'll go next year now that I got this whole YouTube channel and I got something new to promote. Maybe I'll even try to get in the Artist Alley. It's expensive to get into that Artist Alley, but I think it'd be worth it just, for the whole getting my name out there more and hand out cards to people who might actually care about what we're doing here. So, yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to go on the New York Comic Con website when I'm done doing this voiceover, and I'm going to see if the Artist Alley applications are up, and I'm going to apply. That'll be fun. Because I really do like going to conventions and setting up and talking to people. I mean, it kind of sucks when you're working in a vacuum and you're doing everything by yourself. Like these videos. I draw everything. I edit everything. I voice over everything. I upload everything. And it just seems like, what the heck am I doing? I'm just in this void of nothingness doing all this work for what? But then you set up at a convention and you talk to some people and, it feels organic and like, it's worth spending the time to do the things then. So New York Comic Con would be like the ultimate expression of that. And I've applied a few times and I've never gotten in. But I also didn't have a YouTube channel or a cool reason to get in. I never drew a comic, which I should do. That would be cool to have a comic at New York Comic Con. Ooh, I gotta think about that. But here's the 4 turtles again, because we're almost done with the inks. And, damn, that print's awesome. But the inks are done. It's now time to color Leonardo, the leader of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I think this is weirdly one of the times where the coloring is the quickest part of the drawing. It took longer than I thought it would, but it definitely came together quick. There's only 3 colors on Leo. Green, blue, brown, all gray for the swords. But you gotta highlight it, you gotta add shadows, and then the bricks and everything, you have to do the gray in between, then you gotta color each brick individually a maroon color. So you don't just got white dashed lines sticking through. And then I added stuff to the windows and everything to the other parts of the drawing to kind of bring it all together. And I got to add some glowing to Raphael because I do that every time I finish a drawing. I put the glow on Raphael's hand from the sign he's holding on to. And for some reason I never saved that version and I start the new one without it. So, oops on me. So for the first video, Donatello, or was it Raphael, I watched the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie from 1990. Because I actually went and saw that in the theaters opening weekend. It probably wasn't opening day, because they didn't have previews back then, so I couldn't have gone on a Thursday. They didn't have midnight showings back then, so I couldn't go to a midnight Thursday. And I definitely didn't go on a Friday because, I had school. Well, I probably didn't have school because it was the summer. But, my parents had to work. My friends' parents had to work, so there's really nobody to drop us off on a Friday. So we probably went on Saturday, because Saturday was the day we were usually dropped off to cause terror at the local mall. Because back in 1990 or 91, whenever that came out, they didn't have all those signs around that children had to be supervised by their parents. They just dropped us off. They gave us money for pizza and a movie, or food and a movie. And we just went and we hung out at the mall all day until somebody picked us up at night. And it was usually, after the movie, we'd go to, an afternoon movie, 4 o'clock, maybe sometimes 6 o'clock. And, the parents would know what time the movie's over. And that's when they would meet us at the mall to pick us up. And it was a good time. And we definitely were excited to see the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie back then. That was a good summer, actually. I think that's the same summer that Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade came out in. That's a funny one, actually, because we got to the mall. We bought our tickets early because you couldn't buy tickets online. I didn't think you could buy them by the phone back then. So we got dropped off at the mall around, 11, 12 o'clock. We went straight to the movie theater. We bought the tickets. Then we went and did our thing. And then come movie time, we were heading back to the theater because the theater was a separate building behind the mall. And some father, definitely way older than us, probably in his late 30s, stops us and he goes, "Excuse me, guys. You going to the movies?" We're like, "Yep." Like, "Are you going to see Indiana Jones?" We're like, "Yep." He's like, because there's 4 of us. He's like, "Did you buy tickets yet?" We're like, "Yeah, we got them in the morning when we got here." And he's like, "Would you be willing to sell me those tickets?" And we're like, "Why?" He's like, "Because I came with my family and it's sold out." And we looked at each other and we're like, well, we're kind of stuck at this mall until 8 o'clock or so. Or we already bought our tickets and there's really nothing else for us to do. So, sorry. So we didn't sell the guy our tickets. And we went to see Indiana Jones because it's Indiana Jones, the greatest action-adventure movies ever made. The first 3. We don't count the other 2. They never happened. So, of course, we weren't going to sell our tickets to this guy. And the thing I liked about the 1990, I want to say it was 1990, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie was that it was a weird mix of the gritty darkness of the original comics, and it also had the lightness of the comedy of the cartoon. But it worked. And the reason I'm sure they went dark and gritty is, one, it was a cash grab because the Turtles were hot. And the Batman movie just came out. The Michael Keaton 1989 Batman movie just came out. So superheroes, they were trying to make movies of superheroes at that time. It didn't work out as well as it did after the Iron Man movie. But they tried. And so they wanted to follow the tone of the Michael Keaton Batman movie, which was really dark and everything took place at night and in the rain. So they added that to the Turtles movie. But it worked. And I kind of like it. Even when I rewatched it, I was kind of worried. I'm like, am I going to think this movie's terrible now that I'm an adult and I haven't seen it in like 15 years? But no, I watched it like, nah, it still holds up. I mean, it's not great. It doesn't compare to like the comic book movies of today. But it's still pretty good. And I would tell everybody to watch it. Don't be scared off by the thumbnails, though. Oh my God. The original Mutant Turtle movies, I think there's 4 of them. There's Secret of the Ooze and then 2 that I never saw. But their thumbnails are just like pictures of the turtles' heads in the rubber masks, like making a weird smile face. And it's so off-putting. If you're like, oh, I heard these movies are good, I'm going to check them out. And then you see the thumbnails, like, yeah, I'm not watching that. I wouldn't blame you, because the thumbnails would scare me away if I didn't already see the movie a bunch of times back in the 90s and the 2000s. So, oof. They're also re-releasing Transformers, the movie, in theaters. I got to double check when that is, because that's another thing that traumatized me during my childhood. I think I was 11 years old. It was 86, I think. Maybe 87. I don't know. But again, the parents dropped us off at the movies, and we went to see Transformers, the movies. And oh my gosh. If you've seen it, you know. Especially if you were a kid when you saw it. The first 20 minutes, every single one of your childhood friends that you grew up with and you played with their toys and you felt like you knew these characters. And they all get unalived in the first 20 minutes of that movie. Especially poor Rawhide. Oh my God. They blast the crap out of him. You see his eyes go dark and smoke coming out of his mouth because Megatron shoots him in the chest. And then they're on the Decepticons are on the Autobots transport, waiting to go to Autobot City on Earth to take care of the rest of the Transformers. And Ironhide, he grabs Megatron's leg, like crawls up to him, and he's like, "No!" And Megatron's just like, what did he say? I don't remember his exact quote, but basically something along the lines of how pathetic. And they don't show his head like getting blown up, but they just show an upshot of Megatron's gun, the cannon on his arm, just blasting Ironhide's head. It's like, oh my God. They don't, it was traumatizing. And then, the Decepticons get there and they're blitzing the city and Hot Rod and blur, and then they get out a distress signal to Optimus Prime, and when all looks lost, Prime's ship shows up, and he starts mowing down all the bad guys, and he runs over one of the Insecticons' heads and crushes it. No, that's Blur when they're getting into the city. But yeah, he's just mowing through them, and then he gets to Megatron, and then you get the iconic, "One shall stand, one shall fall, Megatron." And Megatron's like, "Why throw away your life so needlessly, Prime?" Great stuff. So I'm definitely going to go see that again in the theaters. I won't be as traumatized this time because, one, I know it's going to happen. And two, I'm kind of an adult now, so I should be able to handle it. It did kind of weird me out. Well, it didn't weird me out. It kind of made me wonder, though, what the technology for repairing a Transformer is. Because, Megatron shot up Prime pretty good, and he didn't make it. But then he gives the Matrix to Ultra Magnus, and Ultra Magnus is on the planet of junk. And Galvatron, the new version of Megatron, shoots Ultra Magnus, and he blows up into pieces everywhere. And he takes the Matrix and gets away with it. But then the Junkions just put Ultra Magnus back together like nothing ever happened. In fact, he says he's better than new. His torn rotator cuff feels better too. So I'm like, what the heck? So Prime can't survive a couple shots from this little minigun that Megatron had? But Ultra Magnus takes on a full-on shot from Galvatron and gets blown to bits. Something that disintegrated Starscream, by the way. And he's okay. I don't know. I realize I didn't talk much about Turtles in this video, and I'm sorry. I just was feeling nostalgic. But here's the final picture again, because we are done with the colors. So thanks for stopping by. Leonardo's done. So like, subscribe, follow, and all that stuff. Watch the whole video if you can, if you got this far. Tell a friend. Have yourselves a great week and a nice weekend. And go out and draw something.